You think you know Barron Trump, a kid living in the spotlight, born into a life of luxury and fame, but do you really? What happened one chilly autumn afternoon would change everything he thought he knew about himself and the world around him. Barron was walking home from school that day. Just like any other, the air smelled crisp, leaves crunched underfoot, and the sky stretched out above him in shades of orange and pink. But as he turned onto Fifth Avenue, something caught his eye. An elderly man leaning heavily on two wooden sticks for support. His clothes were worn, his face lined with years of struggle, but there was something about the way he carried himself that made Barron stop and stare. Most people walked past without giving the man a second glance. Some even hurried by, avoiding eye contact altogether. But not Barron. Something deep inside told him to take a closer look. As the old man struggled to cross the street, Barron felt a tug at his heart, a feeling he hadn't experienced before. Without thinking twice, he approached the stranger and did something no one expected. What Barron did next wasn't just surprising. It set off a chain of events that would ripple through the city and beyond. Barron Trump might come from a family known worldwide, but to him, life was simple. He went to school like any other kid, played soccer with his friends, and spent weekends exploring New York City. Sure, people recognized him sometimes, but Barron tried hard to blend in. To him, being famous wasn't all it seemed. Sometimes it felt like carrying a weight no one else could see. That afternoon, as he walked home, Barron noticed the old man right away. The man stood near a street lamp, gripping his makeshift crutches tightly. His hands trembled slightly, and his breathing came in short gasps. A faded jacket hung loosely over his thin frame, and his shoes looked like they'd seen better days. There was something about him, something Barron couldn't ignore. The streets of Fifth Avenue buzzed with life around them. Cars honked, tourists snapped photos, and businessmen rushed by with their heads down. But amidst all the noise, Barron heard the soft shuffle of the old man's feet against the pavement. It was almost like the city itself had quieted down just enough for Barron to notice. As Barron stepped closer, the old man glanced up. His eyes were sharp, despite the wrinkles etched into his face. For a moment, their gazes locked, and Barron saw something unexpected. Not sadness, not anger, but gratitude. Before Barron could even think, he reached out and offered his hand. "Do you need help crossing the street?" Barron asked, his voice steady but laced with concern. The old man hesitated for a second, then nodded slowly. Without waiting for another word, Barron grabbed one of the wooden crutches and positioned himself beside the man. Together, they began to cross Fifth Avenue. Cars slowed down, some drivers honking impatiently, while others simply waited. As they moved, the old man spoke softly, his voice carrying years of wisdom. "You're a good kid," he said, glancing at Barron. Not many would stop. Barron shrugged, unsure how to respond. "It's no big deal," he muttered, focusing on helping the man stay balanced. But deep down, he felt a strange sense of pride, a feeling he hadn't experienced before. Once they reached the other side, the old man stopped and leaned heavily on his crutches. He looked around, as if searching for something. Then, pulling a small piece of paper from his pocket, he handed it to Barron. "Take this," he said, his voice firm. "It's important." Barron unfolded the paper and saw a single address written in neat handwriting. Below it was a phone number. "What is this?" he asked, looking up. The old man smiled faintly. "That's where your journey begins," he replied, cryptically. Before Barron could ask anything else, the man turned and shuffled away, disappearing into the crowd. Left standing alone, Barron stared at the paper in his hand. Something about it felt different, like it held secrets waiting to be uncovered. And so, without fully understanding why, Barron decided to follow the clue. Barron didn't know what to expect when he dialed the number later that evening. His heart raced as the phone rang once, twice, and then a voice answered. It wasn't the gruff tone of an old man, or the cheerful chatter of a receptionist. Instead, it was a calm, measured voice that sent shivers down Barron's spine. "Who is this?" the voice asked. "My name's Barron," he replied, clutching the paper tightly. "I found your number." There was a long pause on the other end. Then slowly, the voice spoke again. "Come to the address tomorrow at noon. Don't tell anyone." Before Barron could ask anything else, the line went dead. He stared at his phone, confusion mingling with excitement. Who had he just spoken to? And why did they sound so serious? The next day, Barron arrived at the address, a rundown building tucked between two towering skyscrapers. The entrance was narrow, the walls chipped and faded. As he pushed open the creaky door, a bell above it jingled softly. Inside, the air smelled musty, like old books and forgotten memories. A figure emerged from the shadows. It was a woman, her face hidden beneath a wide-brimmed hat. She wore a long coat that seemed too big for her frame. Without saying a word, she motioned for Barron to follow. They walked through dimly lit hallways until they reached a small room filled with dusty shelves and flickering lights. In the center of the room stood a table, and on it lay an old leather-bound book. The woman gestured toward it. "Open it," she said. Simply. Barron hesitated, but did as instructed. The pages were yellowed and brittle, filled with strange symbols and handwritten notes. As he flipped through them, he realized these weren't ordinary writings. They were clues, pieces of a puzzle waiting to be solved. But before he could examine further, the woman spoke again. "This isn't just a game, Barron. People have died trying to uncover the truth behind this book. Are you ready?" Barron swallowed hard. Ready or not, he knew one thing for sure. He couldn't turn back now. Barron nodded, though his mind raced with questions. The woman handed him a magnifying glass and pointed to a particular page in the book. "Start here," she instructed. Her tone left no room for argument. As Barron examined the page, he noticed something peculiar, a series of numbers hidden within the symbols. They didn't make sense at first glance, but after some careful study, he realized they formed coordinates that matched a location nearby. "Where does this lead?" Barron asked, pointing to the numbers. The woman hesitated, her expression darkening. "That's where things get dangerous," she admitted. "What you find there could change everything, or destroy it all." Despite her warning, Barron felt an undeniable pull toward the mystery. That afternoon, armed with the coordinates and a map, he set out alone. The address led him to an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of the city. The place looked deserted, its windows shattered and its walls covered in graffiti. Stepping inside, Barron called out cautiously, "Hello, is anyone here?" Silence answered him, but as he ventured deeper into the building, he heard a faint noise, footsteps echoing from somewhere ahead. Heart pounding, Barron followed the sound until he reached a dimly lit room. There, standing amidst piles of dusty boxes, was someone he never expected to see. It was his father. Donald Trump turned slowly, surprise etched across his face. "Barron," he said, stepping forward, "what are you doing here?" For a moment, Barron froze. How did his dad know about this place? And why was he involved in whatever secret the book held? Before Barron could ask, Donald spoke again. "I should have known you'd figure it out," he admitted, his voice tinged with regret. "This project has been going on longer than you think. And now, it seems like it's your turn to decide what happens next." Barron stared at his father, disbelief washing over him. The man who ran the country, the man who seemed invincible, was standing before him, looking vulnerable and unsure. Whatever this mystery was, it clearly went far beyond anything Barron had imagined. "What do you mean it's my turn?" Barron asked, his voice trembling. "What's really going on?" Donald sighed heavily, running a hand through his hair. "This book," he began, gesturing toward the leather-bound volume Barron still clutched in his hands, "isn't just a collection of symbols and numbers. It's a key, a map to something much bigger, something powerful." Barron's heart skipped a beat. Powerful how? His father hesitated, choosing his words carefully. "There are forces out there, Barron, forces that don't play by the rules we know. This book holds secrets that could tip the balance of power in ways no one can predict. And now, those forces are after it." As Donald spoke, the sound of footsteps echoed outside the warehouse. Heavy boots stomped across the concrete floor, growing louder with each passing second. Barron spun around, panic rising in his chest. "They're here," Donald whispered, grabbing Barron's arm. "We need to move now." Together they darted deeper into the warehouse, weaving between stacks of crates and broken machinery. The footsteps grew closer, voices shouting orders in languages Barron didn't recognize. His father pulled him into a narrow corridor, pressing him against the wall as several men stormed past. Once the coast was clear, Donald led Barron to a hidden door at the back of the building. Beyond it lay a small chamber, dimly lit by flickering bulbs. In the center stood a pedestal, empty except for a single slot carved into its surface. "This is where the book goes," Donald explained, his voice urgent. "If we place it here, the information inside will be locked away forever. But if the wrong people get their hands on it—" He didn't finish the sentence, but Barron understood. Placing the book in the slot would protect its secrets, but it might also erase the chance to use them for good. On the other hand, keeping the book meant risking it falling into dangerous hands. Barron looked at his father, then back at the book. The weight of the decision pressed down on him like never before. He thought about the old man with the crutches, the mysterious woman, and now his own father, all tied together by this enigma. Taking a deep breath, Barron stepped forward. Slowly, he slid the book into the slot. A soft hum filled the room as the pedestal activated, sealing the book away. Light pulsed from the device, bathing the chamber in a warm glow. When the light faded, Barron turned to his father. "Is it over?" he asked. Donald smiled faintly. "For now," he replied. "But remember, Barron, some mysteries are meant to stay buried, and some choices, well, they define who we are." As they left the warehouse and stepped back into the cool night air, Barron felt a mix of relief and uncertainty. The city stretched out before them, bustling and alive, yet somehow different now that he knew the secrets hidden beneath its surface. The old man with the crutches, the cryptic woman, and even his father, all had played a part in this strange adventure, and though the immediate danger was over, Barron couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning. "Why didn't you tell me about this before?" Barron asked, as they walked toward the car waiting at the curb. Donald paused, considering his answer. "Because sometimes, the truth is more dangerous than ignorance," he said finally. "But you're ready now. You handled yourself well today, son." Barron nodded, though he wasn't sure if he believed it. Ready or not, he'd faced the challenge head on, and survived. As they climbed into the car, Barron glanced out the window, watching the city lights blur past. He thought about the book, sealed away in that hidden chamber. Its secrets were safe, for now, but what else lay hidden in the shadows? What other mysteries waited to be uncovered? For the first time, Barron realized that life wasn't just about privilege or fame, it was about choices, choices that could change everything. And while he didn't have all the answers, one thing was clear: he wouldn't shy away from the unknown. As the car pulled away, Barron leaned back in his seat, his mind buzzing with possibilities. Somewhere out there, another mystery awaited, and when the time came, he'd be ready. If you loved this story, hit that like button, and leave a comment below letting us know what you'd do in Barron's shoes. Would you have sealed the book away, or would you have tried to unlock its secrets? Don't forget to subscribe for more thrilling true crime stories. You won't want to miss what's coming next.